Yo, it's Real 92.3 Bootleg Kev DJ Hed.
West Coast.
One of the greatest of all time.
Hey.
Royce the 5'9", ladies and
My
gentlemen.
brothers,
Nickel.
my brothers. What's up, my guy?
Man.
My man.
It's good to see you. See you in a minute.
Good to see y'all, brothers, man. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. Thank you for having me.
We are honored to have
Before
you
we
here.
start, I'm gonna tell you right now, Kev is a complete. I know you know already, but
I'm a stan.
he's a stan.
Oh, I didn't
fan.
know that.
No.
Man, listen, bro.
I'm talking about like a fan.
That's dope,
I always
man.
say, like, when it comes to, like, the rapping shit, I'm not sure you could find 2 or 3 guys that could rap better than you ever.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you.
I mean, like, we're talking, like, bars, like, and wordplay and all that shit. Like, yeah, man.
Patterns.
There's not a lot of people that can fuck with you, man. Royce,
Thank you,
you're
brother.
all-time great, bro.
Thank you, brother. Thank you very much.
Congratulations on the new project, and also congratulations on stepping into the producer role and producing on M's album.
Mm-hmm.
Got some
Thank
it's all right. I think it just went certified gold, the album.
Mm-hmm.
So salute to that.
Congrats,
Thank
bro.
you very much. Thank you. Appreciate that.
What it like? How like? I feel like Book of Ryan was a flawless project, very personal project. What is your motivation for this new album? Like where are you at with it?
It just kind of happened. I like when things kind of fall into place like that too, though. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to do things purposeful. You know what I mean? Like I don't just do shit anymore. You know, like early on we just did shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't just do things. You know what I mean? Like I'll go to the studio and just practice every day and just write raps and try to make beats and be happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean I have to do a project unless I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like I like to be able to see it first. If I can visualize it, I feel like I can actualize it. You know what I mean? So this is one of those things that I hadn't planned on doing anything, and I've just kind of started messing with the beats, learning how to make beats actually.
Yeah.
And one thing led to another. Next thing you know, I was halfway through a project and had a direction in my mind, knew what I wanted to say, and I just went with it. That's pretty much it. I've been saying this is the first project that happened to me as opposed to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That
I
makes
like
sense.
that. Yo, you obviously you got Benny and Westside Gunn on 2 of the first singles. I do feel like Griselda's like the first crew since Slaughterhouse that has given me that energy that at least has. It's just no weak links in the crew lyrically. Talk about obviously there's shady ties there, but like just your like. You got to be a big fan of what those guys are doing.
Of course. I mean, I'm documented probably earlier than anybody. You know what I mean? Showing my public support and just love for those guys. Before I even knew Benny existed, I was a big Griselda fan. My first encounter with Benny was when Gunn and them come in town, they called me. They come to my studio. And this particular time, they were on tour. And they didn't even get a hotel room. They just came to my studio. Everybody from the tour, they were all just sprawled out everywhere in my studio. It was merch laying everywhere. You know what I mean? Like it was suitcases opened up everywhere. My studio was a mess. You know what I mean? Like people just laid out everywhere.
Suitcases.
Bunch of Buffalo dudes everywhere.
a bunch of real hood ass real niggas. You know what I'm saying? So we were just we were chilling and we were in my room. And I had a beat plan. It was about 4 a.m. and I'm sitting there. I do this like when I'm writing.
Right.
I don't know what that is.
Everyone's got their tips.
Yeah. So I'm doing this. I'm doing this. The beat is playing, and then I look over at Benny, who I never met because nobody introduced him, and he was over there like. So I'm like, "Well, what's up, homie? You got something to this?" He was like, "Yeah, I got something," and he went in the booth and torched my booth. And I remember calling, getting my man Mike Haran out of bed like 4 a.m, like, yo, who in the fuck is Benny?
Yeah.
And he was like, I told you he's the sleeper. And I'm like, bro, I don't remember you telling me about no sleeper because I was Conway'd out at that moment.
Yeah.
And it was just like such a breath of fresh air for it. I'm like, damn, they got another one? You know what I mean? And it was just, and he been torching shit ever since, you know what I mean? And I just love when things just kind of like happen like that, you know what I mean?
On that same song, I wrote this down because I wanted to ask you about it. It says, "Put the effort in the wave. I put the effort in the art, not the wave."
Yeah.
And then people talk about owning their own masters.
Yeah.
But that could be 100% of nothing.
Yeah.
I want you to break that down because I understood what you meant because being around for so long. But it's a lot of young dudes that's coming up in the game don't know what that means.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the wrong things are being marketed to the kids. The big companies and the powers that be, air quotes, they're spending a whole bunch of marketing money they're marketing fame to the kids.
Facts.
You know, so a lot of the kids' energy is being put into everything, and then the art becomes secondary. And you got to treat it like art. That's why I call it art all the time. You know, because the art that's being hung up at the Louvre, you know, in France, that shit is being sold for millions of dollars because it's art. It's considered art to the enthusiasts. And you got to kind of look at the music the same way. So you put all of your effort into the music, into making it, making sure that everything sounds up to par to you, and then everything else should become secondary. That way, if the music lasts, and if it's done in a way that you can play it for generations to come, you can always, that piece of music will always be self-preserving for you. You know, so you got to make sure that you own it, and you got to make sure that it lasts. And then once that's the case, it's like creating dope that you can always sell. I hate to use that as an analogy.
Right.
Creating dope that you can always sell.
I fuck with that.
And alleviating as many middlemen as possible. Like, you don't always need somebody in the middle to say, oh yeah, I can help you sell that. You sell it. You sell it, you own it, and you continue to sell it. You continue to license it. You continue to put it in movies. You continue
100%.
to put it in commercials. And continue to be able to feed your family with it. It's yours. It's your intellectual property. It's something that you created.
That's real.
You know, and that's like a value. It's like you got to know your value. You got to figure out what your value is, set your price, and live your life, like Hov said. You know what I mean? And don't allow anybody to place your value on you, because they're never going to value. They're never going to put a value on you that's what you deserve. It's always going to be less. And it's nothing personal. It's just business. It's just you know how investors do. You know what I mean? They want to keep their risk low. They want to keep their prices low, what they invest low, and they want high reward. They want high profit. So you have to set your price. You have to place your own value on yourself. Nobody's going to do that for you.
I like to ask people like you too. You mentioned Bill Maher and Louis C.K. on the record too. I like to ask people like you about where you stand on the N-word and people not black using it.
Yeah, well, people not black using it is completely unacceptable. You know,
period, across the board.
Well, I got more of a thing with white people using it.
That's what Rhapsody told me too.
Yeah. I got more of a thing with white people using it. I mean, because, you know, to me, the negative connotation attached to it, it always links back to slavery to me. That's where it takes me. And there's a thing with white people and black people that gets touchy.
Yeah, little sensitive.
White people are hypersensitive to us loving each other sometimes. Not all white people. I'm not generalizing.
Gotcha.
Not all white people, but some white people are hypersensitive to us loving each other and also discussing some of these issues. I don't necessarily see that with other cultures.
Me either.
Like, you know, they don't get hypersensitive to that. Therefore, it's not the same if they use the N-word.
Facts.
You know what I mean? But a white person using it, it's not necessarily racist just because they said the N-word, but it's socially irresponsible. And when you have a platform, you have to be socially responsible. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you want to be a role model. It's not your choice. You have a platform. You have people listening to you. You owe people a certain level of responsibility. You know what I mean? To, you know, just to keep the positive energy flowing.
I fuck with that.
You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I'm super hypersensitive to people using it, not necessarily just using it on their own time, but using it around me. I feel like if you can't take me into consideration enough to respect me, then that's gonna always be a problem, no matter how mature that I get.
Right.
I mean, it's just,
I got you.
It's just what it is, you know.
Yeah,
and I'm not in any way running around trying to be the N-word police.
Me either.
Or the racist guy police. I'm not. I got to guard my own energy. I can't allow myself to just be upset.
That's
all
what
the
Telling
time.
Quality's for on Twitter.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, tell him be wild on Twitter.
He's doing a great job.
Doing
on
a great
Twitter.
job.
Yeah, we need to get him a badge. Huh?
Are you anybody who's running on the Democratic side that's left that you're fucking with at all? That
I'm not really into politics like that. I'm really not. I think there's a certain level of control that those guys have.
Bruh.
I think that they're sitting in a seat that represents a lot of things.
right?
But I think there's a limited amount of power that those people have,
True.
and it's misleading. It's misleading,
That's
and
fair.
I don't think it matters on every level, but I do encourage people to vote.
I'm curious to know, sidebar, you, like Kev mentioned, you doing the production thing. What's your favorite and least favorite Eminem album?
My favorite Eminem album it's probably the Real Slim Shady.
Okay.
My least favorite is probably, I'll say Revival.
Okay.
I'll say Revival.
I fuck with that.
We both are on par with that.
Yeah.
Yo, let me say something, man. Like, I've been super critical of. I was very critical of Revival. Kamikaze came out, and it was like, okay, he's angry, he's rapping again, but this album's
good, bro.
I think it's his best album since Eminem Show. Like, and I saw the track listing at first and kind of freaked out because I saw Skylar Grey on there.
Yeah. He lost his shit because Skylar Grey was
and Ed Sheeran. I'm like, no more Skylar Grey. And I'm a diehard Eminem fan. Like, he's in my top 5. Like, I love Eminem. But I'm just like, but yo, the Skylar Grey record was fire. And like, just the production, like, how instrumental were you? How much were you around overall with the creation of Music to Be Murdered By? Because it's like,
I wasn't around. I can't take
no credit for that.
Nope.
Like, you gonna learn, it's so fire. Like,
see, I mean, the records that I have on there and that I'm rapping on, this is just something that he wanted to do, that he wanted. He called me about the Yaya song. He called me about it.
Crazy.
He told me he wanted Black Thought. I went and I got him Black Thought. He decided he wanted to come out here and work with Dre because they hadn't been in the studio in a while. He came out here. He worked with Dre. He told me about a lot of things, but I wasn't around. I wasn't around. I didn't hear the album before it came out. It's just Marshall is he's just a focused individual, man. Like he pays attention to what's being said, and he's making the fixes. He's making the necessary adjustments, and this is just what champions do. You know, like in the championship rounds, they make adjustments. He's in a position where he just has a lot of adjustments to make, man. He's been at the mountaintop for so long. People have a certain way that they want to hear him, and he's got to figure that out.
I'm a big Slaughterhouse fan. I'm not gonna beat you over the head with the Slaughterhouse question, but I am gonna say that I saw Joe was on the last album, I believe. And is he retired or not?
Because as a rapper,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, he's done, bro.
Because like
he said, didn't you say you were the one who like you're hoping that your album could get him out of retirement?
Yeah, I was just kidding.
Oh, okay. I was like, well, what the fuck is going on, bro?
No,
I saw. Okay,
he's killing it.
I just. Because they talk all the time on Joe's podcast about certain just albums and shit. Very rarely do you hear him talk about how lyrical something is. So that's what I was getting at. I was like, this album is gonna make you want to come out of retirement because it's like you don't even listen to lyrics anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I meant by it. But I didn't really think that he was gonna listen to it.
That's fair.
On Overcomer, you called out Yelawolf, your former label mate. What was the origin of the issue between you two? I know he ended up taking the post down.
I mean, it falls into the category of respect again. He did something that I felt was disrespectful. There was a window of time that we had to where he could have called me and either clarified or just said something to me, and he didn't even think he needed to call me and say anything. He didn't call me and say anything. He didn't even extend me that respect.
It was something that happened publicly?
It was something that happened behind closed doors.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And he knew I knew about it. And I took offense to it. And how I handled it was just addressing it on the song. And I felt like that was my only way that I could handle it, because for me to air it out publicly would imply that I'm kind of like using it as some type of like vehicle to like either push an album or be
marketing.
Yeah, be vindictive in any type of way. I'm not a vindictive person.
Right.
So I'm not going to step outside of my character to bring across a message. So I felt like the only way that I could do it was just to address it and let them know that, that it's on my radar. Like I'm aware. And that's it. Like I'm not about to promote negativity.
Right.
I'm not about to like get into a rap beef, or I'm not about to trade bars with anybody.
Nobody's gonna beef with you, bro. Not like
it'll
that.
be rough.
Yeah, like,
it'll be a rough ride.
It'll be rough.
I'm not, that's not where I'm at with it. Like if I trade bars with somebody, it's gonna be as long as it's predicated on respect.
You'll spar.
Yeah,
we can spar. Okay,
let's do it all, because that's a part of hip hop.
Yeah,
I mean, shit. I remember being in high school and watching you and Mr. Fab go at it. I think it was in New York.
Good times.
That was just to think that like two rappers of y'all stature at that time would even do that is like crazy.
Well, I didn't know what I was getting into. In my defense,
no, I know. I'm fully aware of the background. Like you,
while Fab was just tearing my ass up, I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, why am I here?
Yeah.
Wait, what did I do this for?
What do I got to prove?
I'm
Royce.
Did you and Wolf end up having any discussions? Is it squashed? Is it?
He reached out. He reached out, but I didn't respond.
Okay.
Got you.
I know you mentioned Kid Rock on the project, who's like a hardcore Trump supporter. He's from Detroit. Like, is that like? I think I've been extremely critical of that man on my social media. I've called him a lot of names because he's someone who I feel like kind of made his initial push in the world and living off of the back of hip hop culture.
Well, so did Yelawolf.
And yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, 100%. Do you put them in the same category?
Right now, yes, I do.
Got you.
I do. Yeah.
I fuck with that.
Okay.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Obviously we just lost Pop Smoke. We lose a lot of people in hip hop. I feel like than any other genre to violence and stuff like that. You have in your career been very vocal about different things that go on in the culture. I was curious to know, how have you managed to be, I feel like you've lasted 3 generations in hip hop. You full like ties, right? What's been some of your like advice you would give to dudes to traverse that, to do the same thing you did as far as like being around for a while?
Information is an important thing. Knowledge is power, and I know that sounds like cliche, but it's so true, man. The more you know, the better off you are, and as an artist, you have to be fearless. You just got to be fearless. You can't be worried about, is this person going to like this? Is this person going to like that? You got to be fearless. You got to be willing to try things. But the most important thing is you have to have a plan. You have to know what you want. Like a lot of people, like myself, I just went and signed a deal before I even knew what I wanted. I just assumed I wanted a record deal.
Right.
I didn't know if I wanted a record deal. I just assumed I wanted a record deal. I didn't know if I wanted to be famous. I just assumed being famous comes with this.
Right.
So this is what I want to do. I didn't realize I never had a desire to be famous until fame did bad things to me. You know what I mean? So, I think it just pays to know. You have to know what you want, decide what you want, define yourself, find that definition of who you are, and then just express it. And it's easy from there. It's easy work after that.
Yeah. I also think coming from a place like Detroit is not as easy as people make it sound. It's
tough. It's tough. It's coming from anywhere. It's coming from anywhere. All of us. And that's one of the reasons why people blow up so big, is because we think that our situations are just it's just us, until we express what we're going through, just us as individuals, and we realize how many other people are the same and how many other people can relate. The first time I saw Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood, like this is my first time seeing what goes on in Cali.
Yeah.
And as loosely based as it could have been.
Right.
It's intriguing. It's extremely, extremely interesting to watch. Gang culture, all of that stuff, all of these things are, man, it's like, that's one of the things that made me fall in love with Cali.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So imagine if Dre didn't tell that story. Imagine if NWA didn't tell that story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Imagine if Ice-T didn't do Cop Killer. Our children would just be, running around oblivious. It always pays to know. And it's cool to spread information. It's cool to test the system. It's cool to, you know what I'm saying? Like, not test the system, but to challenge the system. Ice-T challenged the system. He challenged it. He didn't just sit there and take it. They tried to silence him. He didn't allow them to silence him. Uncle Luke didn't allow people to silence him. He sat on Donahue and he stood up for his rights like kings do. And that's what hip hop is about.
100%.
I remember Nipsey talking about protest music being important. And then he was also part of FDT, Fuck Donald Trump, with YG. And then, like you just brought up, Cop Killer. If you was to make some protest music, what would be the focal point right now? Like a song, if you was to put out one song, what would be the focus point of that at this moment?
If I had to do a protest song, I'm against the machine right now. I'm against the cliche machine. The cliche machine that markets all negativity to the kids and the young dudes coming up in the record industry. You know what I mean? I'm against 10 people sitting in the boardroom who know nothing about hip hop, trying to figure out a way to tell a young hip hop artist who has their finger on the pulse of this shit in a way that they never will, how to do their shit. You know what I'm saying? Like
It's kind of always been an issue, right?
there's always been an issue, but people don't stand up to that. People don't challenge that.
It's getting out of hand too.
Yeah, it's getting to a
Social
point.
media artists.
Yeah, man, it's like they're changing things too much, and then the technology, the way that the technology is evolving, especially with the with the new programs for making beats and shit, like Fruity Loops, FL Studios.
Yep.
It's like the way that shit is set up, it can be used in a way where you don't have to have any kind of musical inclination. You know what I mean? Like that's not always a great thing. You know what I mean? It's affecting
the quality.
What it's doing is making a whole bunch of little nerdy kids approach it the same way, and there's no way to develop from there. You know what I mean? And that affects the music, because if you got 10 songs on the radio where the beats sound the exact same, that's not the evolution. That's just that's just whatever.
Album is coming out. Is there? I mean, I'm sure you and them got a lot of unreleased music. Would there ever be another Bad Meets Evil project?
I'm always open to it. That's that's a Marshall decision.
How much unreleased music do you guys have just sitting around?
I don't even remember.
A lot though.
Not that much. Not that much. But it's.
Is it enough for a project?
Like a little EP?
No, I don't think it's that much.
Okay.
I don't think it's
little
that much.
EP.
It's enough. It's enough that if I went up there and he played me 3 or 4, probably 3, maybe 5. If he played me 5 joints, that'd be a good start.
Okay.
But knowing me, I wouldn't want to use them anyway. I would want to just start fresh,
start over.
But Marshall, he had to get up one day and just decide this is what I want to do next, and then I just figure out how to make time. That's how that goes.
Gotcha.
I want him at 100%. I want him when he's ready to do it.
No, he's at 100% right now.
Me too.
Listen, that album was great.
When I say 100%, I also mean 100% into what he's doing.
Right.
Wanting to do it. Like I want him to have fun.
You want to be
with
enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, I want him to have fun with it. I want to have fun with it. It's obviously not something we have to do. You know what I mean? Like it's not our job to do Bad Meets Evil. You know what I mean? Bad Meets Evil is just something we just do.
would like it.
Yeah, we would like it. I would like it.
We would like it though, Royce.
A lot of
You know
bars.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Throw us a bone.
Last question. We talked about Griselda. I mean, Freddie Gibbs is doing his thing right now.
Freddie Gibbs, you owe me a verse.
Yo,
Okay.
Can we make that happen? I would FaceTime
The
him
only
right
reason
now.
why I say he owes me a verse is because he told me yes. You tell me yes, and I got to hold you to that.
I do feel like between you, Gibbs, Griselda, like if you're looking for lyrics, hip hop is
I
in a
love
great
Gibbs,
place.
man. I love Gibbs. I love Griselda. They're doing their thing.
I saw you tapped in with RJ Payne, who's fucking
Absolutely.
fire.
Absolutely.
But who are like 4 or 5 artists that are maybe in the newer generation who you respect lyrically? Because there is, if you look, there are some, like a lot of people talk about how shitty hip hop is right now, but I just don't think they're
Hip
looking
hop
hard
is
enough.
far from shitty right now.
Yeah.
Of course, Benny, RJ Payne, who's my dog.
I saw you copped his whole catalog.
Of course.
Yeah, he's fire.
IDK.
IDK's fire.
IDK.
IDK. I
Bro.
love IDK.
His shit different, next level different.
Yeah, he's
I
hard.
love IDK. I love YB and Corday. I love everything.
Corday's the
Corday,
shit.
amazing,
I
bro.
love everything about him. I mean, that's enough to build a pyramid right there.
100%.
I like that. I fuck with that.
When's the album coming out? Friday?
Yep.
So
21st, February 21st.
February 20. Well, shit. Yeah, we got tomorrow night then.
Yep.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Is the full track listing out?
I don't know. I gotta look. I think so. Yeah, I think somebody may have posted one.
Well, look, man, if it's anything like Book of Ryan or the 3 songs that are already out,
It won't be. That's the good.
Yeah.
listen, lyrically, the 3 songs you got out, you're on. Yeah, I mean, you might be at your all time.
You talking shit
You
too.
on that
you,
shit
man.
right now, man.
Thank you,
So
brother.
we can't wait to hear it.
Thank
And yo, tell Marshall thank you for the great album as well. If you talk
Will
to
do.
him,
Will
I've been
do.
very critical.
We've been very critical.
And if there's a Bad Meets Evil Part 2, I mean, we could leave Skylar Grey off it. I'm just saying. It's Real 92.3.